Welcome to the KidMin podcast with Dr. Val and Dr. Virginia, where we talk about everything KidMin
and pull back the curtain on some of the surprises and challenges in children's ministry that nobody prepares you for.
I'm Dr. Val, and together we have over 45 years of experience in children's ministry.
I'm Dr. Virginia. Valerie and I met over 10 years ago in our doctoral program at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. We are excited to share with you all the great stuff that we have picked up over the years. We want to minister to you, the children's minister.
Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're back.
Yay!
But also, I know it doesn't.
It was such a good week.
I feel like it was such a good week. We had such a great time at Children's Pastors Conference, and that's what we want to talk about today. It feels like a year. I mean, it's been just the weirdest transition to be back home, because literally we went from the holidays and New Year's and then straight into, packing and prepping for the conference and getting down there. And so it was sort of like a whirlwind. And now we're back home. And so it's like adjusting to being back home and all the things. And so it's been a very busy few weeks, but it's been a lot of fun. Virginia and I just wanted to take a little bit of time today just to recap what happened at Children's Pastors Conference. We hope that you were there. We hope that you had a great time and that you learned a lot and you got to make a lot of connections with new friends and that you really enjoyed it. If you have never been to a conference, we're hoping that today, with us just talking a little bit about Children's Pastors Conference and the details of it and what we got to experience while we were there, and just some of the things that we learned and some of the fun that we had, will encourage you to look at registering for a KidMin conference sometime this year, next year, because there are so many great ones out there. And Virginia and I are really big proponents of conferences for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely. It was an awesome week. One of the things I always say about CPC every year is that it's like church camp for children's ministers, like how, you think back to being like a kid or a teen and going to church camp and having a bunch of fun and also being really tired, but just feeling very just spiritually poured into. And so that's what I love about CPC, and what I've said, every year that I've gone is just, that kind of church camp for children's ministers feeling.
Well, if you're not familiar with Children's Pastors Conference, if you haven't heard us talk about it before, it is a conference that's put on by the International Network of Children's Ministers, the INCM, and you'll hear us talk about them a little bit as we're sharing and as we're discussing it. It is every year in Orlando, Florida, and it is typically that very first week of January. So it's a great way to kick off the year. It's a good time because usually there's a little bit of lull time, right after the holidays before you're going to kick off, your vacation Bible school recruitment. But it gives you just there's a little bit of that break and that time for you to be able to get away and to come to a conference. And we had this year there was a little over 2,500 leaders that were at Children's Pastors Conference, and so it was a great group. This year and next year, it's going to be held at the Omni Resort in Champions Gate, and this was the first year for us to be at a different resort with Children's Pastors Conference, but it was a great event, and the leaders, it was a lot of transitions and a lot of learning a new layout and where things were, but it was still just a lot of fun, and it was a great week of just being able to spend time with children's ministry leaders.
Absolutely. And before we jump too far into talking about CPC and how much we love CPC, I do want to I was just sort of thinking through in my mind other conferences that are coming up this year. Because, it just happened. So if you don't want to have to wait a whole full year for a children's ministry conference, some other ones are like D6. They have conferences on both coasts in Orlando and in Seattle. So they have, I think, one in the spring and one in the fall. I think one coast is in the spring, one coast is in the fall. Kids Matter is another one in the fall, usually in Indiana. Etch is Lifeways Conference, also in the fall in Nashville. Kids Ministry Expo is one that's in Oklahoma. Because I know there are people who are like in those middle states who are like, they're like, every single conference is so far from me. Like I have to go all the way to Orlando or all the way to Seattle or all the way here or there. But, you know, Kids Matter in Indiana, Kids Ministry Expo, I think that's a one-day conference in Oklahoma. But those are just some other ones that are national kids ministry conferences that are still coming up that you can still buy tickets for. You know, if you get inspired to go to a conference and can't wait all the way a year until next CPC.
Yes. And there are a lot of places that do local events. You might check with your denominational leadership. You might check with just your own church. If you have like an association or a group that runs your church denomination, they probably have some sort of training. They might have some sort of conferences in your area. You just never know. And there's always that ability for you to be able to get together with some other children's ministers in your area and have some people come in to do some training. So there's so many ways that you can continue just that professional development and to learn and to grow. And we just can't recommend enough for you to find some way that you can gain more information and to make connections. The networking
just
is
being around
a huge
other people
portion of what we love.
Encouraging and commiserating and understanding so
Yes.
that you just can't get from other groups of people who don't understand kids ministry from the inside. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I loved, they were, is that for the conference, there was a Facebook group that was for CPC attendees. And through that, a lot of people who were going to be coming to the conference by themselves made connections to get together with people for meals or to carpool or to share a room, even if they didn't even know each other. And so there's such a feeling of community with INCM and Children's Pastors Conference, where you have that ability to really find your people. And that was one of the things that I just kind of walked away from that whole time thinking, you know what? Reach out and find your people. Find the people that love the things that you love and that will pour into you and that you can pour into and that you can just, walk with in ministry. And it's just huge when you're able to do that. And sometimes we have to go outside of our comfort zones to find that, to reach out and take a risk that somebody might say, no, I can't go to lunch, or to take a risk that, you might not be able to make a connection, but to keep trying, because once you find your people, it's just such a fun and encouraging way to do ministry together. And so I think it's just really important.
Yeah, amen. One thing that we are super intentional to do is to get down for CPC on Monday. It officially starts on Tuesday, but Monday evening they always have a pre-registration. And so one, it's just fun to see people and get in the excitement for being at the conference. But two, it does genuinely make your Tuesday a lot smoother. If you've already checked in, you've gotten your lanyard, you have all this stuff. And so it really does make it easier to do the pre-registration on Monday.
They did something new this year. They had some pre-cons before registration. That were an extra, it was an extra cost to be able to do it, but they had 3, I believe. I know one was with our friends from the Reach Hurting Kids Institute in Kimbato, talking about kids with special needs
trauma,
and
family ministry, like with the people from Renew a Nation. They were doing one of the pre-cons as well.
And the third one was volunteer recruiting.
Okay.
And so, which is a great topic that people are always wanting more information on. And that was through Ministry Boost. And so they had those 3 options with an additional cost for people to come and see. Again, we didn't get a chance to do the pre-cons this year because we were just coming in on Monday. So we weren't there Monday morning. But it's just a great way to kind of get some more specific information if you've got a topic that you're really wanting to do. And so it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think one of the other things they had on, I think they had them on Monday and on Tuesday, and you had to pre-register for them in advance, although they weren't an additional cost. The little meetups for like first time at CPC or solo at CPC. And so I really like that they also had these additional little like meetups that you could sign up for if you are going by yourself or if it is your first time, to be able to make those connections more easily while you're there. So I appreciate that they do that as well.
It is. It just gives people who are first timers or by themselves just a chance to kind of ease into it before that first morning, because it is overwhelming, because it is a lot of people and conference space is really big. And that's one of the reasons why I like to do Monday night. It gives you a chance to get the lay of the land. It gives me a chance to really, I like to read through the little book that they give us. And you see, I have all my little, I make my little notes of the things that I want to do and I don't want to forget, and the things I want to, so it just makes me feel like I have the opportunity to kind of prep for the week and get the lay of the land. We walked around a little bit and figured out where everything was going to be. And so I just enjoy having that little extra time whenever you're going to be at a conference. If they provide it for you, it's a nice thing to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and another fun thing that we love about Children's Pastors Conference and conferences for children's ministers in general is that there's so many times that we don't get to worship with our church family, and Children's Pastors Conference has a lot of large group opportunities where everybody is together in the ballroom, and there are games, and there are keynote speakers that are really hitting some of the bigger topics, the big picture of children's ministry. A lot of that is just that encouragement time and just delving into the Word of God and really honing in on your calling and who you are in ministry. And so I always appreciate that that's kind of the focus of the large group times for the conferences. And then there's always worship.
Yeah. Amen. The worship is always so good. Just like what you said, having that opportunity to worship without anything in the back of your mind, without any, even though I've got everything delegated out to volunteers, it's always still, in the back of your mind on a Sunday morning, but getting to just worship without any of that is just so awesome. And you're right. I think every single one of the speakers is always geared towards just being very encouraging, just very genuinely edifying, trying to build up and point us to Christ and encourage. And so I absolutely love those large group worship times, and just the blessing that it is to worship, to have someone really intentionally trying to encourage, all of us children's ministry leaders, but just encourage our hearts. And just be with other believers in that setting. It's just so nice.
Yeah. The other thing that we really love about Children's Pastors Conference is the breakout times. Obviously, because for Virginia and I, this is an opportunity that we have just been so blessed with the last few years, that we've been able to lead breakouts at Children's Pastors Conference. And breakouts are just an opportunity for you to hone in on specific questions that you have, topics that you might really be struggling with. And that's everything from stress and burnout, Bible skills, volunteer recruitment, how to plan vacation Bible school. I'm trying to think. There were just so many opportunities for breakouts this
working with kids with trauma, just all kinds. There's ones about Canva and using AI and some of that stuff too.
Yes. Yes, it's an opportunity to find out some information on, how you can work on check-in with your church, or, all of these things. And the breakouts are typically 50 minutes to an hour. They offer you a lot to choose from. I was trying to remember. I want to think there were at least 20 or 25
per session
that they had. Each per session that you could choose from. So there was a lot of options this year for breakouts. These are smaller groups. They're rooms that are set smaller with maybe 50 to 100 people, as opposed to all 2,500 at the same time. And so some, obviously some topics are more attended than others, but there are just a lot of ways that you can get that much more pointed and specific information that you're needing for how, and one of the things that there's two things that I love that Children's Pastors Conference really ask leaders to do when they're leading breakouts. One is that you always bring it back to the Word of God, that you have that tie-in for whatever it is that you're teaching, but also that you make it very applicable, and that people that are attending the conference are going to walk away from your breakout with actionable steps to take back with them to the church. Yeah. So you're going to leave those breakouts with specific ideas of things that you can do for whatever topic it is that you choose.
Absolutely. And one of the other things, this is my second year purchasing the digital download of the conference. Because there are so many breakouts. And there were 6 total sessions of breakouts, or 7 sessions of breakouts. And I think it was 150 or so breakouts across those 7 sessions, to where you can't physically go to everything you want to go to. And I always purchase, this is my second year purchasing the digital download of the conference, so that if I miss a breakout, it's really not a big deal, because I'm okay, I can't be in 2 places at once, but I can listen to that later whenever I get that download from the conference. And so I think that is just a practical and useful tool as well, because you can get overwhelmed by all the breakouts, but it's okay. Go to the ones that you can, and then listen to the rest later if you get the digital download from the conference.
Yes. And that's something that's a really great option to have, because it's true. You can't, well, for a few reasons. Sometimes conferences do get full, and by the time you get there, there's no more seats. And so you have to pick a second choice. And so I usually try to pick 3 that I'm interested in, and then kind of make myself a note for the ones I want to try first, so that I can see that I can get there early enough to get in. And so it's really handy to be able to do that. But it is great to be able to have the ability to listen to them later. And with that, I think you also get all of the keynotes.
Yes.
And so that gives you a chance to listen to those again. And so, because a lot of times there's so much great information from the keynotes that you really you want to hear that again, because of that encouragement and just the opportunity to really delve into the Word. So I love that too. So we did 2 breakouts this year. We did one on biblical literacy. We talked about how kids can learn the Bible at every age, and did also one on classroom management. We talked about how to set up a successful classroom. And so both of our breakouts were so much fun, and we had great people that attended, and they were very engaged, and so we were excited to be able to do that this year. And so the breakouts just really give you that opportunity to find where you're struggling or what you want to learn more about, and be able to really hone in on that topic.
Yeah, it was. We always have so much fun presenting every year. This was our first year doing the classroom management, and that was really fun. And I thought that one went really well. Every year we do some variation of biblical literacy, but this year we brought a lot of Bible skills, games, and activities. So we loaded our cars with pool noodles and popsicle sticks and, card games and Scrabble tiles, and each brought a tote bag full of fun stuff into the conference to use as examples for these different Bible skills games and activities that we can do to promote biblical literacy. So, yes.
So it was a lot of fun.
It was.
Another thing that I had the opportunity to do while we were there is to participate in their coaching opportunities. And I have just been blessed by this each year, because I love to meet children's ministry leaders, especially those that are new to children's ministry, or that maybe have a particular thing that they're struggling with. And so you can sign up ahead of time for coaching, and basically you can look through the list of the coaches that are available, and choose somebody that you think is going to be really familiar with the topic that you're most concerned about. And basically you just pick a topic that you are struggling with, and then you send in some questions ahead of time, so that your coach can take a look at what you're really struggling with. And then you work together it's just a 30-minute coaching session. So it's a very short period of time, but it's an opportunity for you to work with somebody for 30 minutes to really try to focus in on what are some actionable steps that I can do to be able to solve this situation that we're having in the church. And so I just always love getting to meet the children's ministry leaders and just encourage a little bit, and just listen, and to help them walk through steps on what they can do that is practical, but also literally like, okay, when you get back on Monday, number one, this is what I can do. And this is two, so you really have the opportunity to help encourage and help people to be able to do that. And so I actually got to do that 3 times. Typically I only have 2 sessions, but they asked me if I could squeeze another one in, which we don't normally do, but they were in the need of it because so many people were coming and asking for coaches after they had gotten there, and they want to try to meet all the needs that they can. INCM is so good about that. And so I had the opportunity to meet with 3 leaders this time, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time.
And that's such a neat opportunity because it's free of charge. It's no additional cost to the cost of the conference to get this one-on-one coaching with someone who is very experienced in ministry. And again, you pick the person who is very experienced in the area that you have questions about. And so, usually to try to get that kind of expertise, that kind of one-on-one coaching, that one-on-one expertise, usually you got to pay money for that. So the fact that that's included in the cost of the conference is just such a good, opportunity for ministry leaders. Just to add that into their conference experience. So yeah. Another great thing at CPC is the resource center. This year it was put in like 2 ballrooms. In years past, sometimes it's in one giant ballroom, but it's just really awesome and really fun to get to walk around and look at, touch, hold all kinds of resources from a variety of vendors during the conference. And so there were all kinds of people there. All the major publishers are there, major companies that provide Christian materials are there. But then there were also all sorts of smaller ministries or organizations or resource providers who, unless you know what to look for, you may not even encounter some of these resources and some of these organizations. But walking through the resource center, you'll see these things that you would have even known existed otherwise. And so it's always so fun to walk through the resource center and see what's available. Given the Christian bookstores aren't as ubiquitous as they once were, it's so nice to go and hold resources in your hand and look at them and physically touch them before you decide to buy something.
Yes.
And so it's just such a nice opportunity.
Because I still have that.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. I want to touch it. I want to look at it.
I want to sniff it.
I'm all for ordering online, but I like being able to actually look at the books and be able to see how they're laid out and to really be able to make that connection. And so I know that might be just me, but I love it. And the great thing, there's a few great things about it. One is that they do give all sorts of freebies, like as you're walking through. Of course, we picked up our conference, we got a free conference t-shirt. And a little goodie bag when we first got there the first time we went to the resource center, we could pick those things up. But also just the companies are giving out little goodies and you can sign up for different kinds of prizes and things that they do when they do giveaways and and just all sorts of things. So it's really just a fun atmosphere. It's really fun to go in. It's fun to meet people who serve these ministries, the publishers and the different ministries, and to hear their heart and to really let them share with you why they love whatever resource that they have for you, why it's important and how it can help you, and just gives you this big overview. It can be overwhelming. But it's again a great thing that I usually love to go the first day if I can, get all the information that I'm wanting to kind of see, and then sit down and then go back and figure out what do I want to maybe purchase. Is there, do I want to go ahead and get some of my Vacation Bible School stuff? Do I want to go ahead and get, maybe some of my Bible skills stuff, or, what do I need? But also, maybe after I think for a minute, I have some more specific questions for a publisher, and do you have this resource, and what could this do for me? So it gives me a chance. So I try to at least visit twice if I can. Because it's just nice to have that first overview and then sit down process and then head back. Now, throughout the conference, in between the general sessions, they will put some goodies and some information in your chair when you come in. There are representatives sometimes that speak from the big stage about their product. They show videos about products, so you can kind of see, you get a really good big picture about what kinds of resources they have available for you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like to do my lap through, on the first time, and then go back and figure out what I want to buy. And one of the nice advantages is a lot of these publishers and resource providers, I mean, they have hauled all their stuff to the conference and they don't want to take it back. So oftentimes things are on sale. And so that's a time whenever I will stock up on certain things that I know we're going to need throughout the year. Like one example is whenever a new baby is born, we like to bring like a little board book, to the family as like just a little thing. And so that's whenever I buy all of our board books for the whole year, because they're 40% off at the conference, or 50% off, or 60% off, depending on what booth you go to. And so that's one of those things that we're going to need throughout the year. And I just stock up on. Last year, I stocked up on Bibles. And so that's just a great time to figure out what you're going to need and get it while it's on sale.
Well, and it's great to make connections with different people that serve in the ministries and the publishers, to have a name that you can ask these questions to, that that you can refer back to if you have questions later on, that they're always so willing to help. And so you find out things about camps and, seminary programs, and just, there's just so many things that you're going to see. Yeah. It's such a broad, it's just toys, activities, like there's just, you never know what you're going to find. And so, plus we got to see friends, people that we see each year at the conference, but also maybe people that we haven't seen in a long time. It's just fun to be able to catch up. And so the resource area is always a really great place to go hang out. So if you haven't been able to tell by the way we've been gushing, we're fans. We love a good conference. We love all the things that can come from it. It's so very worth it if you can work it into your budget to be able to attend one, wherever it might be, whoever might put it on. You're always going to gain things. I always say it doesn't matter what breakout or conference speaker that I'm listening to. I either learn a lot of things that I needed to know, and I know things that I will never ever do. Either way, I learned something. And so I just feel like that it's so well worth your time. So Virginia and I are just so very grateful that you spent time with us today. We thank you for listening. We hope that this has encouraged you to take a look at conferences this year. But if you've got questions, please don't hesitate to send us an email, shoot us a note, let us know, so that we can try to answer anything that we can for you. We just want to meet you where you are, and we hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.